Umbrella. Hi everyone. Camino Bill here. Welcome everyone to the Friday group, the Teachers of God Spiritual Center, where we bring to you and we invite all of our local guests to come, and we share really spiritual principles. We share our journey, and today we're going to talk about our Camino, and we're going to have a sort of a reflection on our Camino that we just 22 of us, 21 of us just came back from. Many here, I think about 10 people from our group here just got back from the Camino, and we all had different experiences. And for me, I'm going to bring my experience in the form of a slideshow, because the slideshow really gives a glimpse. It gives just a glimpse of the experience of the Camino. And I would say that the slideshow, which is 75 photographs, is probably 5% of the photographs that we have. So it's or less. Maybe it's 2%. It's a small percentage, just a glimpse of the Camino experience that we would like to share with all of you. And like I said, the slideshow, Shirley, the presence, I'm sitting there, hon, so I can run the slideshow. Thank you, hon. And the Camino for all of us represents something different. On one hand, it's like the most exciting vacation and kind of a experience journey, I've never had an experience like it in my life. There's nothing close in terms of fun, and then also in reflecting on the spiritual principles that were demonstrated by everyone, and the kind of the journey experience. I feel that everyone had a really cool Camino experience, and we want to invite you guys that are online to journey with us today for the next 45 minutes on the Camino, and just kind of see what it was. Join us in the joy. Join us in the expressions that will be talked about here. There's going to be about 8 people come up and give a little 5 or 6 minute blurb on what their Camino experience was, and we welcome you to be part of it. But before we do that, we're going to do a short meet and greet. And then after we do the meet and greet, Bonnie is going to come up and do our opening. She's going to do a short little opening and meditation, and then we'll do a slideshow. And some of the people that were on the Camino with us aren't here today, but we're going to read little short emails from them that they sent in. Rosalyn, Elaine, and Francis sent little short emails, and we'll share from their heart the Camino for them. So thank you all for being with us, and I look forward to hearing each of my Buen Camino friends what they have to share. And thank you guys that are online for joining us. And this is almost it's a show and tell, but I think you're going to see the depth of what the Camino can be for you, or the Camino is for all of us. So we'll be right back. We're going to do our meet and greet. If you guys want to rise and do that, then we'll be right back. Where's Shawnee? Okay, we're going to come back now. Everyone, please. Okay, we're going to come back. Okay, thank you, everyone. So Andy's going to do the camera, and we're going to invite Bonnie to come up and do the thought for the day and a short meditation. So everyone, please give a warm welcome to Bonnie Kimball.
Hello, everybody. How are you today? So I every day on the Camino, I would do a prayer before we started out. And who was ever in the group, we all did a prayer together. And I found something in this book by Marianne Williamson that was pretty much what I like to do. And so I wanted to share it this morning, and I wanted you all to feel this. I want everyone to have the feeling of it. And she starts out talking about us as mystics, which everyone is. We all send love and compassion all the time and give love and compassion all the time. And it's your mystical toolbox. And Lisa always talks about toolboxes. We all have them, our ACIM toolbox. So here we are. And so I would like everyone to close their eyes. And I promise I won't move. So you can sit down and close your eyes, Andy, and take a deep breath. Close your eyes and take a couple really nice deep breaths. And in this book by Marianne, she says, our imagination is the womb out of which a new world will be born. So now, I want you all think of every situation in your life as being ripe for new birth. I want you to see luminous energy emerging from your heart and extending outward to touch all things. Cast this light over your childhood home. Cast it over your physical body. Cast this light over warring nations. Cast this beautiful, luminous, loving light over the entire planet. Cast it over the people you love. Cast it over the people you judge. Feel now a bolt of energy coming over you as you extend this light. I want you to avoid the temptation to invalidate this image. It's not an idle fantasy, for the light is real. Your light and love is real that you are sending to everybody. Now allow this light to flood your body, your blood, your bones. Allow it to illuminate your mind, your emotions, your relationships, your career. Congratulations. You have picked up your wand and begun to use it. And you can open your eyes whenever you're ready. How did that all make you feel? Are you ready for the slideshow? Okay.
Thank you. That was beautiful. It was funny when she starts to say to, put that over your neighborhood home or those loved ones. Isn't it amazing how those experiences come right in and you throw the light over it? That's a real thing. That's a real experience of putting the light of truth, what we are, on all of our experiential objects, even the things that we remember as a child. We can throw light on it. We can put the light of truth on it, and something amazing happens when we do that. Well, something amazing happened to all of us on the Camino, and I want you. This is just a 6-minute video, a slideshow that we'll go through real fast. It'll be so fast you won't believe it. But for me, this Camino experience was the most fun experience of my life. I can't take the most expensive vacation and put it close to this, because in it you can't really be specific and say one thing that it was about, but it was like the whole thing was just magical and amazing. So sit back and watch the slideshow of the Camino and enjoy this with us.
Life will never be here. Life will never be the same. Time is getting cold. What is going on? What is on your mind? Are your feelings gone? Need to see it clear. Where do we go? Why are you doing things? All the things you do. Life will never be the same. Life is changing. Life will never be the same. Life is changing. Everybody needs somebody to love. Everybody needs somebody to love. I love that stuff. Washing my clothes. In the name of love, you should draw the line. Got to be secure that you're still mine. Gotta have coffee. Life will Life will never be the same. Life is changing. Everybody needs somebody to love.
Man.
Everybody needs somebody to love. Life will never be the same. Life is changing. Oh, yeah, yeah.
All right, Johnny. This is right at the end. Look at the water.
Life will never be the same. Life is changing. Life will never be the same. Life is changing. Life will never be. Life will never be the same.
There's our leader, Jennifer. This is the whole group. Hey, you guys. Hey, we just made it to Santiago.
St. Francis.
And we're at the cathedral right now. It's just about time for Mass. You can hear all the bells going off, and you can see the end. And we made it. We just got here this morning.
Okay. Love you guys. We did it.
We did it. We just got here. We have, you hear all the bells going.
And we're here with our fearless leader, Jennifer Wynne Johnson.
We just got here. There's Becky Johnson. Becky's crying. Lisa Natoli. Where's Nancy's show?
She's up there.
Okay. Yeah, we just made it, and we watched.
Jennifer said she's giving a prize to the person who comes in last.
That's us.
That would be me. Woo! It was part of my covert plan.
So
to just enjoy the ride.
we walked 8.54 miles today.
Yeah.
And it was a great walk. It was our last walk of the Camino.
Yeah.
Was this morning, and we did it. We're finished.
We did. Always take the scenic route. We don't think we're going to go to the Mass because it's 1 million people down there. It's like a total scene. We'll go to the church later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Love you guys.
We love you. Thanks for joining us on this Camino. This has been a great walk for us, a great journey.
Showed them everything.
Yeah, well,
That's the entrance to the cathedral.
Right behind me, you'll see the entrance to the cathedral, and there's supposed to be like 100,000 people here today, that pilgrims that have walked to be here on Father's Day. And
Oh, yeah, it's Father's Day.
yeah,
Oh,
So,
happy Father's Day.
happy Father's Day
And I
to
love the lesson for today.
all of you. And
Father, your grace is given to me. I claim it now.
so we claim it right now.
Mwah.
We love you all.
Buen camino.
Bon Camino. Bye-bye.
All right.
Yeah, that was no, leave them off. That was just you could see that it was just like a glimpse. 5 seconds each on those slides, but it gave you a little glimpse of the experience that we had for the Camino. And also, everyone had an individual, like a pilgrim experience that we want to share with you. And the first one we're going to talk about is Lisa's going to come up and read something from Frances or just a short little thing that she sent in, and then something that I'll read something that Elaine sent in, and then Rosalyn, and then we're going to ask each of you guys that were with us to come up and share your Camino pilgrimage. What?
Do you have a picture of Frances too after this one, Bill? Or no? Okay. Okay, good. So the first one, this is Frances Crichton Stewart, and she's somebody who lives in Scotland, and she took the 40-day program, and she's in Living in Purpose now. And for those of you guys, we can go back to the other slide, the first one. For those of you who were in one of the first 40-day programs years ago, you might know Frances because she's the one that made all those little drawings. Like she drew every day little things. And okay, if I can see this in the dark. So what she said was, here's my Camino. Take away so many more, but I feel this one is important for now. And what she did was she made this little drawing with a prayer on it. It says, light on the water this morning, 12th of June, from my room in the Parador. So we stayed in these really amazing hotels. So for anyone who really has wanted to do the Camino but wants to kind of upscale a little, this is like a great way to do it. Jennifer Wynne Johnson organizes Camino groups. There's one coming up in September 2018, and there's another one in June 2019. And 2 nights we stayed in this amazing hotel called the Parador, and the first one was a castle. Look, so this must have been the second one. And what she says here, the message from the Camino from me today is to surrender all my illusions, my dreams, the things I want to do. I want to surrender them to you, Father, for I am your beloved child, and only you know what is for my highest good. And then she writes down at the bottom here, I'm done. And what I wanted to just share with you is the next picture. And what's cool is I realized this morning driving here is this, I'm just going to tell you a little story about what this is this is the day after the Parador. So I spent a lot of time with Frances, and she also traveled with another woman who was there with us named Priscilla Hamilton Rowan. She also took the 40 days. She's in Living in Purpose. So it was like a tremendous honor for me to get to spend time with these two. And they've known each other for 50 years. So they've been childhood friends, and they wanted to walk the Camino for almost that amount of time. Like they've been talking about it for like 30 years. They finally decided to do it. And I didn't know the story about the Parador. So here she surrendered her will to the Father the night before this happened. So we started the journey. I was with you, Linda. It was Sean and John and Priscilla and myself. And I was walking just with Frances, and she was telling me about, we were just talking, I don't know, things in general. And then she said, how do you let go of grievances? I have this one grievance I really don't feel I can let go of. And then she told me that grievance was actually an outburst of a childhood grievance. And then she said, and actually, that is actually my grievance towards all people of this kind. And so she was, and it was a total sincerity, like, how do I let go of it? And I said, well, this is our Camino. Like, this is our new beginning. And I said, you can't let go of grievances, but you can have the willingness to let them go. So, and that's all that's needed. Like, that you make a decision that you don't want to keep holding on to it. And I said, and look where we are. Like, we're here allowing ourselves a space where we can really just look and say, do I really want to hold on to my identity and the things that have been holding me back? And I said, often I wonder, how many lifetimes do we come to this place? And then we just decide, I just want to hang on to that one conflict, that one grievance. And we keep circling back to another lifetime. And Frances, she's magical. She's like, to me, she's like out of a child's storybook. Like, she sees the world in a very childlike way. And so she was being very quiet when I was saying this. And I don't know if you guys, Linda, remember, this is right before we're getting close to Santiago, and they start selling things on the side of the road. And this was right before our first place where we bought, they sell shells and jewelry. And she got real quiet. So there's like this big hill coming up to Arcade, and she's heard everything I said. I said, all you have to do is surrender it to the Holy Spirit. Just invite the Holy Spirit to take charge. And I didn't know she had done this the night before. I only got this morning. But she was so quiet, and I felt like she must be doing it. She must be inviting the Holy Spirit in, because we don't know how to let go of grievances. And in that instant, she found a feather. And she got so excited, like a little girl. And she said, oh my God, it's a feather. And she said, this to me, when she finds feathers, means that the angels are here and that the angels have responded to the request. So I said, okay, we have to get a photo of this. So anyways, I wanted to just share the lovely Frances with you. And it really was a time for all of us of total release. So thank you all. And I'm going to come back later. I have Rosalyn's story, and I'll share my story later. But we're going to pass the mic now for the next person. Oh, I am. Okay. Love this lady. So speaking of feathers and angels, this is Rosalyn Rourke. She also took the 40-day and is in Living in Purpose. And she's just amazing. So she had an incredible experience. I actually haven't read her story yet, so I'm going to read it. Is it possible to put the lights on so I can read this? I don't know. I'm going to have a hard time reading it. A light up front? Maybe. I mean, I can do it. I'll try it. We'll see. No, I'll do it. It's fine. So Rosalyn is, I don't really know what to say about Rosalyn, except for she's really connected. And this year, a few months ago, her daughter Melissa passed, and her daughter's young, in her 30s, I think. And Melissa didn't want to know, like, she felt like maybe she was going to go soon, but she didn't want to get it checked out by the doctors. And Rosalyn totally supported that decision. And about a year before Melissa passed, Melissa was having very mystical experiences with angels. And so, listen, I'm just going to read her story, but it's just like, to have Rosalyn on the trip was such a gift for me, because I've known her a long time online, and I just, some individuals you just so connect with. And then to have her really go through this experience and to watch from day one, from when her daughter passed, there's this total connectedness and this joy. Like it was, and Melissa's now with her, and Elaine Falvey also spent a lot of time with Rosalyn on the Camino, and she's now communicating with Melissa. So Melissa has been working with Rosalyn to work with angels. So this is Rosalyn's story. Camino takeaways. As I reflect on the inner and outer experience, look at that, the light comes in for me. Thank you. I love that. I have to note that one I cannot skip over. First, let me give you the context for my experience on the level of the body. I was a fat kid who did nothing athletic, including ride a bike. As my life unfolded, I did pick up some skills, such as learning to ride a bike when I went to a town and had no car. As my spirit unfolded and my personality became less stuck, I learned to have some exercise practices. I took to things like bar 3, or maybe that's just bar, which encouraged small muscle movement rather than large muscle ones or speed. Years ago, I took up running, and my gait was so unusual and slow that someone once asked whether I was running or walking. I think you are getting the picture. One more piece of history. My beloved husband is an ardent hiker. I have enjoyed walking, but whenever it got hard, I allowed an attitude to take over that can only be described as grumpy. I knew from taking responsibility for my feeling that this is not okay. So I interviewed people in spiritual groups as to what their self-talk was when things got hard. It helped some, but other people's words somehow did not have much effect on changing my mood. When my perception was that it is too hard, I did not have the internal want to get to the top of a hill, let alone a mountain. I also did not have the love of nature that people describe that gets them outside just for the joy of it. I have known myself to be a city inside girl. Fast forward to the Camino, I had concerns about whether I would have the energy to do the Camino. So at the last minute, I bought some chocolate-covered espresso beans. This would be a radical decision anyway to get my energy from popping these treats, but I had not had caffeine for 3.5 years, so you can assess my level of fear. On the trip, I quickly realized I did not need artificial stimulants to move. The Camino started when I signed up because I found the want inside me to do the long walking. Shortly after the Camino began, I forgot about the espresso beans and did not need them. As energy took over, it felt like I was being carried. And for those of you who were there, she was up at the crack of dawn, and she just like walked so fast. Like she's just gone. What? She was, yeah. This is on. Okay, she was like the first one. Linda said that she was the first one to leave, and she'd be the first one in the hotel every day. And this picture was taken. This is the place where the pool was, where we saw Linda and John on the pool. And so it says, let's see. Years ago, when I was a compulsive overeating, I used to pray for another symptom. The answer Spirit gave me was that I would not notice anything else. I'm not sure if that's a typo. Years ago, when I was a compulsive overeater, I used to pray for another symptom. I don't know if that's what it says. The answer Spirit gave me was that I would not notice anything else. It was the best way to get my attention. On the Camino, my legs took over with a speed and assurance that had been previously unknown to me. Spirit got my attention. We all know the line from A Course in Miracles that states, I need do nothing. My understanding of that line has deepened to me. Let me use your body, mind, and heart, and yourself you need do nothing. I found on the Camino all of the above sentences to be true. Relationships were different when I got out of the way. If there was a moment with someone, it got more deeply resolved than I could have ever imagined on my own. When I wondered about my place in the group, I was told you belong to life. And immediately I knew that the group was like the body, just a manifestation in form of truth. It seems that people approach the Camino with either a focus on their intention of what they would like resolved, or the opposite approach, which is to be open to what the Camino wants to teach. I think either way, the Camino will have its way. But my approach was to be shown with Spirit what Spirit wants me to experience. I said yes to the Camino, and I had the willingness to walk, but I was provided with the perfect walking partner during some moments for me to notice the grace and speed which had been given to me. Elaine Falvey took off, and I easily kept pace with someone who could have been my daughter in years as well as spirit. This group was also perfect in that one could go in and out of walking with others and still have the needed silence for the angelic realm to enter. There was a moment when Elaine and I got a powerful smell of oranges. It was an intervention in which we were told to wake up and stop gossiping. I think this knowing that if my heart is open to having my body, mind, and spirit used, what might it be like to be carried always in life? A big thank you to everyone for providing the atmosphere for a true Buen Camino to be had for all. Since I have been back, I notice that folks are impressed by the mileage, etc. I too can be impressed with the experience of ease and endurance. I see that this is a distraction from Spirit's message of how it is to be carried and how the experience of allowing compares to wanting and control. It seems like a paradox to go on a rigorous physical journey and know that we are 100% spirit using a physical form for a short while. Rosalyn Rourke. All right. Love you, Rosalyn.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, Rosalyn she was amazing, and I loved hearing her story about Melissa, and then Elaine talking to Melissa. Amazing. So the next one I'm going to talk about, I'm going to read Elaine Falvey's little Camino memoirs here. Oh, put the mic up. My experience on the Camino. I began this journey with a completely open mind. I had no idea why I was going, or what I was about to experience. But I can now tell you how it has changed my life forever. It began at home, how I was going to pay for this trip. I was in the process of selling my home. That's how I'd pay for, and eventually I did. That's how I'd pay, and eventually I did, and made my last payment. I was so excited. Some of us were walking to practice. I went a few times, but nothing compared to what we were about to experience. Then came shopping. I joked, I'm a walking billboard for Colombia. So were many others. The day finally came. I stayed with Vicky Poppy, and she and Patty drove me to the airport that morning. I felt like a little like a kid being sent off to camp, as Vicky is usually on adventures with me. Our group all met up, and the selfies began. The group pics were so much fun. The plane ride was long, but we were bubbling with excitement. We arrived in Portugal, and grabbed a cab. Oh my God. Our driver was a speed demon on these winding roads. Our hearts were racing. We got to our first hotel, and it was pretty nice. We had a few days before we were to begin our walk. We explored the area and were amazed at all the architecture. The buildings were ornate and very old. All the detail was breathtaking. They were made of stone. I remember remarking, I thought New Hampshire was the granite state. Beautiful hand-carved statues everywhere. I was in awe, is the only thing I can describe. This was my first trip to Europe. We ate fantastic food everywhere. Finally, after day 2, we were beginning our walk. Many of us started in a group. It was amazing how quickly we found out we were together, and then we were not. Not knowing the language was not a problem when a little old lady said, Camino, no, 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 and pointed another direction. We said gracias and quietly went in that direction. I didn't follow the maps. In fact, I didn't even find the paperwork. I didn't even find the paperwork till halfway through the trip. I followed the markers, usually painted yellow arrows and ceramic tiles with a clamshell. That first big aha moment to learn how much I trusted. My second big take was how confident I felt with this total trust. I discovered that when our group of mighty pilgrims decided to stop for coffee, cappuccinos were amazing, by the way. I thought I'd look ahead while they had coffee. As I walked along the ocean a little way ahead, I waited for everyone to catch up. I sat on a wall waiting and waiting and waiting. A gentle rain began, and I reached into my backpack and pulled out my raincoat and covered my backpack. I thought, what if they went another way? What am I waiting for? Bam. What am I waiting for? Bam. I was off by myself. As I began to walk, thoughts came along. Thoughts came, oh my God, I'm in another country. I have no idea where I'm going. Follow the markers. So I did, until I had to decide where there wasn't a clear way. I entered a wooded area, and again my thoughts came, oh my God, I'm all alone here, and I have no idea where I'm going. As I looked around, I noticed 3 women with backpacks and sighed, whew, thank God. I'm not alone. As I walked, my confidence grew. Oh my God, I'm in a different country. I'm walking without my friends. Wow. Eventually they caught up and we began walking again as a group, taking a bazillion pics along the way. We would walk sometimes in twos, getting to know each other more. It was great. The countryside was just gorgeous. We walked into enchanted forests. You could feel how alive they were. The smell of eucalyptus everywhere. That was my next big wow. I began to notice I could feel everything. My sense of awareness was growing leaps and bounds. I began to feel my way where I was going. Eventually, I felt the need to walk ahead without stopping so much. I walked with Rosalyn the last few days and noticed how ahead we were, how lead how led we were. Butterflies would suddenly appear and we'd follow them as they led us across the street to the next way. Up the mountain we would go, get close to our next hotel, and I would just know we were almost there, and then she would pull out the name of the next hotel. One time we were walking, and this next hotel was to be right on the way. As I felt we were approaching this hotel, I asked, how many miles have we gone? We were given a few instructions the night before by our tour guide, Jennifer Wynne Johnson, who was amazing. Everything was in kilometers, as she couldn't give us exact mileage. And Andy Kimball made that one up. Oh, genometers. Called it genometers. Andy Kimball made that one up. As we walked, I said, I think we're close. I could feel it. She put on her GPS, and as we walked by this building, I noticed how part of the jutted out and I took a picture of it. We were crossing the bridge, and I said, we need to stop and sit. On the other side of the bridge were stairs. Rosalyn was checking her GPS, and I looked forward and back to the interesting building we had just passed. I noticed the name on it up high, and I thought, that name looks important. I took a picture, not sure what that building was. I said, look, there it is. Oh my God, that was how it is. Oh my God, that was how it was. Trust, confidence, knowing, peace, love, and joy. A deeper feeling of these was the Camino. As the priest in the Compostela said, our journey didn't end there. It just begun. It just began. Buen Camino. Gracias. Thank you, Elaine Falvey. So now we're going to invite you all that were with us on the Camino to come up one at a time. I'm going to first invite Linda Leland to come up and give your Buen Camino.
Okay, 6 minutes. I haven't really talked. Oh. Can you hear me? Oh, yeah. Help me. You ready? Oh, okay, you said stay there. I haven't really even talked to anybody about the Camino since I got back because it's really impossible to do, especially it would take an hour, and who has an hour? So I just basically been telling people it's indescribable. I wasn't really excited before I went to the Camino. I mean, I was open, but I knew well enough that I would not. I in the past when I've been excited, it's because I thought I knew what was going to happen. I had a vision of the greatness or the experience, and I knew I had no idea. So it's really hard to be very excited. Um, but what I can say is that for me, it was just one surprise after another. And the only thing I did know for sure when I went was that I was going to walk in silence. I told everybody. Even Sean asked me, Linda, said, would you just please walk with me one day? I said, I don't know. I probably not. And wouldn't you know, every single day I'm like, wait for me. It was just too much beauty and too much life that I could not stay inside. I couldn't. I just had to be with everybody. And the way that Jennifer took us on this tour, she really didn't tell us what was ahead. You'd think some of these things would have been in the brochure. They weren't. We get to one hotel and look up the window. What is that? Oh, it's a hot spring. You get to go in that now. Or these 5-star hotels or these bungalows with a little balcony right on the ocean, or this 1,000-year-old monastery that you're staying every single night. And around every corner, visually, the landscape of where we were was embarrassingly, emotionally, absolutely stunning. So there was just one surprise after the other. The food was different. Everything was amazing. But these people that I got to travel with, I got to travel with this group. There wasn't a complaint. There wasn't, I wish this was different. There wasn't I was traveling with masters. And, a lot of times I've done some great work alone, in silence or reading, and I feel really beautiful and wonderful. And then you get out into the world, and it's a different story. And so I know that that's where the work is. That's where the practice is. Anyway, so I knew I was going to be walking, not alone. I did sometimes, and it was amazing. And for the most of the time, I was with these beauties. And so I just got to notice things about myself. I just still really did the work. At first I was really noticing sort of my own self-importance. Like, here I am with these sold out, all in students, and of course these awake people. And I kind of noticed myself wanting to prove to them what a good student I was, what a great teacher, how awake. I just noticed where I was coming from, and knew that was my work. I maybe day 2, I set the intention, and I didn't tell anyone but my husband, to just profoundly listen. That I was not going to say one thing about myself unless somebody said, Linda, what do you think? I wanted to listen. I wanted to be loved. And I didn't want to take away from the whole experience by trying to make somebody think I'm something. I noticed that in myself a lot on the trip. So, and amazingly, and everybody there was another surprise. You'd be walking with somebody and laughing, and someone would sort of slip away, and you'd be by yourself, and then someone else would come up, or you'd come upon another person, and the vulnerability and the power and the love and the way every single person was expressed themselves as God is more gorgeous than the landscape. It was just to have the gift of being in a group and looking for that and seeing it was more than I ever could have done if I walked by myself. And then I'm almost out of time probably. So this first day that I decided this was my intention, that I wasn't going to try to tell people how great I was. how smart I was or how I knew the course or whatever. Um, I was walking with Frances, who was the artist who you saw early on. Oh, okay. And she told me this story, which was one of my greatest moments, if I could even count them, one of my 350 greatest moments on the Camino. Um, she talked about St. Teresa. She said, "You know about St. Teresa?" I said, "Mother Teresa?" She said, "No, it's St. Teresa." I said, "No." She said, "Well, they call her the Little Flower." And I'm paraphrasing. I cannot possibly say it as well as she did in her gorgeous accent. She said that St. Teresa would, each day when she would get up, she would go out into the world and she would do something loving, even if it was just holding the truth of somebody or doing some kindness. And every time she did that kindness that day, and she'd do several a day, she would name it a flower. You know, that's a daisy, or that's a tulip, or that's a rose. And at the end of the day, she would offer a good blue plate to God. And I was so blown away by this story. Um, and I knew that's how I want to live. Like, that's it. That's it's simple and it's beautiful, and that's it. What else do you ever need to know? And then she said to me, she said, "I feel like Saint Teresa wanted me to tell you this today. Like, maybe it was her coming to you to tell you this today. So it's like the perfect day that went with my intention, which just made my trip so beautiful because I did that really for the rest of my time there. And I guess I'm out of time, so I'm going to hand the microphone off. Thanks, guys.
That was beautiful. Thank you. I wish we had more time. I'm going to invite Leslie to come up and please share with us. I mean, Leslie, Irene. Sorry. Irene Tomkinson, thank you.
Oh, so how do you, everything everyone said, I had the exact same experience. I had the moments, I had the big one, I had the people, I had the intention, I went without intention, I was open, I was closed. It was everything. It was absolutely everything. I was thinking while I was sitting there, everybody gets all excited and they go, "Oh, you did 150 miles. You know what was big miles? The last one and the last two every day. Those were the big miles. The ones where I would say, are you kidding me? Are we on a treadmill? Where the hell's the damn hotel? Jen would say, it's going to be 10 miles, right? And my GPS or whatever the heck I was carrying would say, oh, you're at 9.9. And I think, oh, it's right around the corner. And then I'd ask someone and they'd say, oh, it's 4 kilometers up the road. It is? And then you'd get up the road and somebody'd say, no, it's another 4 kilometers up the road. Are you kidding me? Right? It was those last couple of miles every flipping day where I would say, I can't do this. I cannot do this. I'm too old to do this. This is way too hard. Nobody my age is doing this. Rosalyn's my age, though. And she was running up the damn road. And then I would, and my feet hurt. My hips hurt, my knee hurts, poor me, poor me kind of thing. And then someone would come along and I'd be talking to them or we'd start laughing. And I would think of Bill because I'd have this noticing that while I was laughing, I could not feel any pain in my body. There was no pain in my body. There was no tired in my body. And I'd get those moments of like, we're not a body. It was so clear. I'm not a body. I'm a big fat story that runs on a real regular basis, but I'm not a body. So, so 2 big takeaways for me. I have no idea why I said on Facebook, I would really love to take people's names if you'd like me to pray in the churches for you. And I do know why. It came through me, and it was the huge, huge gift for me. So I ended up with almost 500 names. And the stories that people would write me and the requests, like one person asked to pray for his abuse of alcohol, and that's my story. I'm in recovery for 34 years. So I was able to talk to him in Messenger about that. And it's one step at a time. one day at a time, just like the Camino. The Camino was one step at a time. There isn't anybody here who cannot do the Camino. We all can. You literally put one foot in front of the other. There was nothing too hard to walk. There was nothing too difficult to do except listening to your brain, you know, that was telling you constantly, this is too much. This is too much. You can't wear that shirt one more day. You can't wear those dirty socks one more day, you know, and it's like, yes, you can. Go ahead. He's telling me 1 minute. Someone said once in a book that I read about the Camino, I stopped taking selfies because it looked like it was the same day over and over again, because you're in the same clothes every single day over and over again. Yeah, I mean, it's like, why am I doing this? I'll take a picture of something else because you're always in the same outfit. I guess what I want you to, so the big thing that one of the 350 big things I did was I left very early the first morning at 4 o'clock in the dark. I'd never been in this town before, and I just knew I was supposed to go do that piece alone, and I did. And I had no fear, and that is not me. I usually in the dark going like this, you know, and I just went straight ahead. It was magical. It was one of the most magical mornings of my life. And then on the last day, because I had such a magical experience with that one, I did it on the last day. And the last day, when we walked out, we walked into a forest. And I kept thinking, I'm not scared. I know that I am held. I have been held on this whole trip. And what I got was, I've been held in my whole life. And I'm still being held. And I promise you, and everyone out there isn't anyone who cannot do the Camino. You just do it at your pace. You do it at your footsteps. You do it your one step at a time. So, bon Camino.
Awesome. I loved walking with Irene. And you remember when we sang the Surely the Presence under that bridge? That was so much fun. And when we walked into those woods, Lisa and I both commented, Irene came in here in the dark this morning. So yeah, that was amazing. Well, I want to invite Martha to come up. She walked with Carl. And everyone, please give a warm welcome to Martha. Thank you, Martha.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Gosh, thank you, Irene, because when Linda said, that she walked with all these masters, I thought, plus me. And thank you, Rosalyn, because I started the Camino. I said yes because when I heard that there was one more opening, I sort of had a vision of Jesus holding his hand out to me, and I couldn't say no to that. It was very definite for me. Afterwards, I had all the doubts of, what did I sign up for? I've got a bum knee. I'm so overweight. I'm a couch potato. But I knew I had seen Jesus holding him. I had that vision. So I said yes, and I went. And my husband ended up coming with us, and it was a different Camino. It was just everybody has their own Camino, and it really was wonderful. But I had come to be the couch potato that grumbles, and I had this thing about my husband been a lifelong walker, so he was a natural for it. But whenever he'd ask me to go for a walk at home, I'd sort of grumble. And so he said that I was sort of in love with the idea of going on the Camino, but not the actual walking. So early on, I was discovering that I was walking, and I was looking at the map and trying to figure out how far we'd gone and how much further we had to go. And it was a constant struggle looking at the map and figuring out, because my attention was on the destination. I wanted to get there so I could be safe, so I could make my little nest and get ready for the next day. I wanted that safety. I wanted to have it done. And I realized that was not giving me a good experience. I was really grumbly and resentful, and I needed to give myself an attitude change, and I prayed about it. And I found peace in taking one step at a time, putting one step in front of the other. And I stopped looking at the map. I stopped paying attention to people saying how far we had gone and how much further we had to go, because in genometers, you never really know how far a genometer is, how far the 10 miles is or whatever, and it really didn't matter. You put one foot in front of the other, and when you get there, you get there. And that was a magical experience for me. It was so freeing. And it wasn't a few days before 10 miles was nothing. Oh, I could do that. And it just really freed my mind. So that was big for me. I did go expecting that I would have spiritual insights, because I felt I had been led to take this journey, and I wasn't aware of spiritual insights that just sort of came to me. I was just putting one foot in front of the other, and it seemed like very surface thing, it seemed like a wonderful vacation that I went on with my friends, and it wasn't what I signed up for. I told my husband, said, this isn't going to be a vacation. This is a spiritual walk, spiritual journey. And what I found was what I experienced, what I was aware of, was that the wonderful vacation, the lush vegetation, there's all these wildflowers and beautifully cultivated gardens and vineyards that we walked through, and the ocean vistas, and you look up the trail down over the ocean. It was just so beautiful. So it really, I'm skipping ahead, it really wasn't until I got home that I realized how profound an experience this vacation was. That I had thought might be a very spiritual experience that seemed to be just like a vacation, a wonderful, delicious, delightful vacation with friends. When we got home and realized that, I read a little bit on Facebook. I'm not really a Facebook person, but I read, I think it was Bonnie who said she had the experience about waking up in the middle of the night, and Andy was at work, and she said that she got up to go to the bathroom, and the walls were all stone with arches. And I thought, wow, is her home really like that? And I thought, no. Well, it was the next day that I was snoozing on the couch, and I woke up sort of, and I was looking, and I didn't know where I was. I thought I was still in Spain, and I looked around at the room. Didn't catch me as being in my living room. I just did not see it. I saw, by the window, I saw over there some beautiful curtain, green drapes, green flowered drapes that I absolutely adore, that belong in my living room. And I thought, wow, that's over here. And then I realized that I was in my living room. And we've since, Carl and I both have been dreaming that we're still in Spain. And it really hasn't left us. So anyway, I don't know where I'm going with that, but it shows me that this Camino works very, very deeply, on a profound level. And I know I have noticed changes in myself. Can't go into it right here, right now, too long, but I just really trust that it will continue. In fact, Jen Lynn Johnson did send us a quote, and she said that there's a saying in the Camino that the Camino doesn't really start until you've finished walking. And I believe that. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. Yeah. Everyone has their own Camino experience, right? Thank you for sharing that. Andrea, would you come up and share your Camino experience, please? And we have like 4 minutes each to finish off. So thank you.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me, Bonnie? Close enough? For me, it was a walking grace. I almost didn't go on this Camino because I didn't know about it. I was sitting with a beautiful light in my house called Bonnie Kimball. And she said to me, I'm so excited, I'm going on this Camino. And I went, really? Wow. Ever since I was in my 20s, I wanted to do that. She goes, well, find out if you could still do it. We just kind of put it together. Maybe there's room for you. So I got online and I wrote to Jennifer. And she writes back, oh, it'd be wonderful. Yes, we'd love to have you come. And about 15 minutes later, I got another email that said, I'm sorry, we're full. I was like, I don't know. I've only been going for 15 minutes. I don't even know if I should be disappointed or happy. Because once I said I wanted to go, I could feel this feeling inside of me come up. And for the last 4 years since my husband passed, I'm a person who has always been able to just get up and go anywhere. Never think twice about it. In fact, the first time I was ever in Spain, I couldn't get anybody to go with me. So I said, I'll go myself. They said, you can't go by yourself. And I said, why not? They go, well, you don't speak the language. And I said, oh, somebody will speak English. There's always hand signals. I said, I'm not worried about it. And off I went. But when he passed, for some reason, unexplainable to me, I couldn't seem to leave even my town. So, and I really wanted to go somewhere. So I thought, and this is before Bonnie said anything to me, I thought, wouldn't it be nice if I could do something with a group? That might get me over that hump, whatever that hump is. And I don't know what it is, but it's something going on. So I wrote to Jennifer and she said, do you want to go on a waiting list? Because the group has arrived for me to go with that I had put out to God saying, I think that would help me. And now here's a group, and it's a Camino, and it's something I've always wanted to do. And it's with people that I love and know and have shared great intimacies with. Wouldn't that be perfect? But they were full. So I wrote her, I said, I just have a question. How could something be okay and then now it's full in 15 minutes? She said, somebody was on the phone with me. And she said, they said yes while I was talking to you. And I said, okay, fine. She goes, you want to go on a waiting list? I said, who would turn this down? Who would turn this down? And she said, you'll be surprised. And I said, okay. And then I forgot about it until like sometime around February or March. She wrote to me. She said, there's an opening. Do you still want to go? I said, hell yes, I definitely want to go. So a lot of my work was about allowing myself to go. It wasn't on the Camino so much for me. It was allowing myself to get past my fear. So I trained, and that was wonderful because I felt that I wanted to be comfortable. And having trained, I was comfortable. And all this work I've been doing for, I don't even want to call it work, but just coming into myself for all these years. And the love that I feel is so profound within me that I found that that's what it was for me every day, was to be in love. I was in love every day. And I feel that way every day anyway, but because I live a single life, I don't necessarily get to share that. But this time I was with so many people and I was in paradise. And my heart is so full and so open and so happy and joyful all the time that in this circumstance, it just spilled out of me. And I was like, ice cream cone. Oh, I need an ice cream, And it's like, oh, look at that. And so this whole other part that's kind of been quietly sitting inside of me was ignited and was happy, whether I was with people, whether I was walking on my own, because I tended to walk quite quickly myself. Now, when I would pass, if I would stop and take a picture, said, oh, don't worry about Andrea, she'll catch up to us. So I was always coming forward and going back and up hills and down hills and checking on people. And I just had a ball with the whole thing. And I had a vision and a dream the night before because people said, do you have an intention? And I said, no, I don't want my mind getting there before me. And part of what I'm understanding since I've come back is that this vision that I had in what happened for me in Santiago was not for me, Andrea, the presence of love. It was for my mind. Because the mind is never quite in sync with me, my true self. It needs understanding before it can let go of things. And if I'm sure all of you have had this experience and you feel like you've got something and then something will happen and you'll feel triggered or something will appear. And it's like, well, I thought I did that. But before I went on this trip, there were many times I would just go down on my knees and weep and weep and weep, and I didn't know why. And I didn't want to know why because I knew it would be revealed. And it was. And I had such peace because the mind came to an understanding. And now I feel like my mind can truly serve the love that I am, rather than me always having to step back and kind of wondering. So for me, it was this beautiful sinking of my natural self. And my mind is in service of my love now. And my love was so far ahead in leading the way, the whole way for me, that I never had a moment where I was afraid or nervous or felt lost, because I knew that I was walking in grace, and grace was going to bring me home day after day after day, step by step. So my Camino was a complete, for me, this beautiful, silent joy and peace that's always been with me, and now there's nothing interrupting it. So,
Beautiful. Thank you. Andrea was another childlike being out there. You could see she was like, I thought she was like an Indian scout in her past life because she was always like over there and over there. We have two more people we're going to bring up, Bonnie, and we're going to go like 5 minutes over, you guys, and we're going to bring Bonnie up and then Lisa Natoli. Bonnie, would you come up? Everyone welcome Bonnie Kimball.
Hello, everybody. When I signed up for this Camino, I was just very excited to do it. I was like, Andy, we're going. I don't care if I have to get credit cards to pay for it. I didn't care what I had to do it. I had no intention until Irene put out her request that if anybody wanted someone to pray for them, to please put their name on her Facebook, and she would do it. And I had somebody reach out to me and said, Irene's got a lot of people. Can you pray for me? And that really created my Camino for me. And it deepened my Camino for me. So every day, I am the selfie queen. If any of you are on my Facebook or anything, right away in the airport, probably before I left my house, let's do a selfie. We're starting this trip. So every day I would step outside the hotel and go into a prayer. And who was ever with us at that moment was always in prayer with us. I respected that my feet were on Gaia and that the ancestors before us, and wow, the place that we were at was so old, you had to touch everything because you just couldn't believe who touched it before you. And so the ancestors were there, Gaia was there, and my prayer was always, the crux of it was always that our deep healing comes from the fact that how deeply we are loved by God and the fact that we know that. So I wanted everyone to know how much God loved them. That was my prayer for them. It's very simple, but it is, none of us can believe that we're loved like that, and none of us can believe that God is in us like that. I'll get up in the morning and I think, God is in you, and I step out the door and I forget God's in me, and I forget I'm looking at God when I'm. So that's my prayer, and then every day we do that, and who's ever there, we did the selfie, and there was probably a lot of along the way, because then when I'd hit Lisa, she'd go, I need to be in a selfie. So, and as soon as I would step on the path, there was always a feather. And that's my angels are always with me. They let me know. They're like, boom, here you go. You're doing it, girl. And then the fact that we would just go like every 3 minutes. Oh my God, I'm in Spain. What? Wow. It was just so, everything about it was magical, and running into the people and walking with different people. I'm walking by myself with Andy. Andy's just, I don't know, we just have the biggest partnership on things that we can walk in silence, we can walk in aggravation, we can walk in love, we can do all this stuff, and then we laugh, and believe it or not, I make him laugh too. I don't, and just the antics and stuff, and it was just so much fun. And it was so much fun to have you all with me, and the people who were on my Facebook and that came into it, you all knew you were with me. Everyone knew they were with me, and I thank you all for knowing that. And I decided that it wasn't going to stop there. That every day, everybody is still with me, and I am still doing the same prayer, and everyone is with me every day. And that would be it. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. I love you. Yeah, Andy is my hero. I love this guy. Andy is like Superman. And she's got a great partner in Andy. And I have a great partner in Lisa Natoli, and she's going to wrap it up for us. Everyone, please welcome Lisa.
Thank you. I just am so grateful, and I loved hearing everybody. Like every single one of you said something. That was my experience also. And for me, the Camino, like Linda, I did not have an idea about it. Like 2 years ago, Jennifer Wynne Johnson, who took the 40-day program and who wanted to start a new business. She wanted to do something she loved. She's a self-proclaimed overweight person. She's a self-proclaimed lazy person. And in the 40 days, she just started feeling a new possibility for herself. And she's a chef in Los Angeles, and she just thought, I want to walk the 500 miles of the Camino. We did 150, the Portuguese route, but there's 500 from France to Spain. And she did it, and then she called me or wrote to me, and then I wanted to Skype with her, and she said, I'd like to start organizing groups. I'm like, you should totally do that. And then she said, would you be able to have 12 people come? And I said, yeah, I'll put first I didn't want to commit to it. It took me a year to get to the point where I would put the message out. So you guys all think it was 1 year in the planning, it's 2 years. And on the first day when I mentioned it here, there was like 12 signups on the first day. She had to organize everything to get 21 people because we were initially not staying in the places we stayed in, but she like expanded it. And so for me, this was a complete gift to me because I didn't go with an expectation. And it was the best thing I've ever done in my life. Like the Camino really does have a way of working you. And to me, getting there, organizing, to be there, and to go completely off the grid. that was I've been working without a day off for I don't even know how long, and I just said I'm going off the grid. I'm not checking my email, and I don't typically go outside very much. And so what I wanted to do, I didn't want to start early, and I did not want to get to the next hotel. I wanted to stay outside all day long. I just wanted to stop at every cafe. So I found the group I wanted to eat the cake, right, Al? And I wanted to just totally enjoy every single day. And as I was driving down here, I just thought about this one moment, and nobody knows about it, not even John Leland, but he was the only one that was there. But there was this experience for me. It was like a paradox, because on the one hand, I wanted to be totally in the body. Like I didn't want to just be out here in the mental, and I wanted to be totally present physically. But at the same time, I was really feeling I don't want to focus on the body anymore, because I had spent the last couple of years focusing on symptoms and things that were going on in the body. So I sort of had this paradox thing going on where it's like centered, but not focusing on what the body's doing. And so there was this one day, there's a place on the Camino where people leave things. And you can just either leave something physical, or you can have a moment of meditation and prayer and leave something behind. And with the small little group that I was with, I had us all stop, and I said, okay, if you want to leave anything behind, just let's all take a moment of silence, and you don't need to tell us what it is. And mine was not focusing on the body. I'm leaving that behind. Almost immediately, I know, so I'm having so much fun. I was just like the most freedom on that trip. I was like scurrying up mountains. I'm like, where'd this energy come from? Like all of a sudden I was a little kid, and immediately I noticed 2 extremely bright red spots on my hand. And it kind of looked like disease. I don't know. That was what my mind did. It just went like, this is bad. And it was so bright red. It was these 2 circles. And I was happy. And all of a sudden I was sitting down, and John Leland was there. And as I was sitting down, he came close to me, and I must have glanced my hand, and I went, oh my God, what is that? And he goes, what? I'm like, look. And he did not pay attention to it though. Like I haven't told anybody this story before right now, but he kind of was engaged in maybe some other something. And so he left, and I sat on the ground, and I'm like, oh man, I had just made the intention. I'm not focusing on the body. So I've got this, and then it was all mountains that day. And so the whole day was like, okay, it was like processing through this. And I kept, I'm not going to focus on it, but of course I kept looking. Like I kept thinking like, I want that to go away. But what I started to notice, it was like 2 or 3 days of just getting to the point where it's like, okay, maybe something is going on with me, and maybe those spots are just going to keep growing, and maybe they'll be there forever, and maybe that's okay. Like it was this total moment of like, I am not a body. If I have red spots all over my body, I'm still not a body. And then they're gone. I don't know when they left, but they're gone. And it's like, it just got to this point when you recognize like whatever it is you're holding on to, you're giving yourself that space out in nature, away from your life, to just allow something new to occur. So I had a great time. So I love you all. And we're going to close in prayer, and we're going to thank you. If everybody can join me in a circle. Bill Free has an amazing Camino story. He'll share some other time.
My Camino was the slides. That was a gift to myself doing that. Thank you all for joining with us today. Thank you, live streamers. Oh,
Okay, so my 10-second thing is, Lisa, because you stand for a yes, we all got included. You continue to do that for all of us. Thank you.
the ultimate cheerleader, Lisa Natoli. Yeah, Diedrich Wallerzak, not Wallerzak, Diedrich Walzak thinks that Lisa Natoli is the ACIM Oprah of the ACIM.
That was Stacy.
Yeah,
Stacy Sully
she's
said
our
that.
she's our cheerleader. So we're just gonna pause for a moment and give recognition to the peace of God, the presence of God, the grace of God that we are. We are all of these things. We are all of these experiences. Is God expressing itself individually. And we see blessings and joy, gratitude and joining. And may the peace of God continue to abound and grow and bind us in our own mind, as Andrea put it, and join and synchronize, integrate the mind to the spirit of our one self. God is on the Camino, and it is one. Thank you, God. Amen. And we will bless the tithes and the offering in the love box. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you so much. Love you all. The love box is in the back if you would like to support this ministry. And you guys that are online, I think we're going to go live with our new website tomorrow. The teachersofgod.org is going to launch a brand new website with all kinds of cool stuff tomorrow. So stay tuned for teachersofgod.org. And Maggie has something to share. Oh, yes. Okay, Nancy Fitzgerald is doing a teaching here on Thursday. We're going to come and join her and see what she has to say, how science and spirituality are doing the same thing with the same message. Do you want to say something about that?
It's in the transformation room here at Unity. You enter through the yellow doors. I went to an awesome conference of science and spirituality, which I could do because I thought I couldn't go on the Camino, so I passed that up. So I want to share my takeaways, my experiences, some of what happened. That'll be Thursday night here from 7 to 8:30 in the transformation room. And I'm not either sure quite what's going to come out, whether I'm going to tell you it's all together or whether it's a little different. Greg Braden, Lynn McTaggart, and Lee Carroll Cryon.
All right, so we'll see you guys Thursday, and thank you for being with us. We love you, and